I've seen all the Best Picture nominees, so let's talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. What is it? Like the title implies, the movie is a lot of things. Let's call it an absurdist family drama slash science fiction kung fu comedy. It's about a woman named Evelyn, played by the great Michelle Yeoh. And Evelyn is a Chinese-American immigrant and small business owner with a strained relationship with her daughter, a marriage on the rocks, and a generally disapproving elderly father. On the day that Evelyn must provide a surly IRS agent with crucial documents about their business, she learns that the multiverse exists, and every decision she's ever made in her life branched out a new parallel universe. Your consciousness can travel between these multiverses, and you can see the lives you almost had, and an evil force is threatening to destroy all of existence, all of the multiverses, and Evelyn is the only one who can stop it. Who is it made by? It was written and directed by these two guys, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who professionally go by the collective name The Daniels. This is their second movie after Swiss Army Man in 2016, which is a movie I really enjoyed, and a movie that some people reductively but accurately call the farting corpse movie, because Daniel Radcliffe plays a reanimated corpse who farts a lot. Swiss Army Man, much like Everything Everywhere All at Once, is inventive, unique, extremely silly, and surprisingly heartfelt. But my favorite previous work from the Daniels is the music video for Turned Down for What, which is exactly what you hope it is, given the song. Just brilliant stuff. Look it up if you haven't seen it. Turned Down for What? How has it been received? Better than almost any movie of last year by most metrics. It's among the most well-reviewed movie of the year by critics. It is the highest-grossing movie in A24's history by a decent margin. It's their first movie to gross $100 million worldwide. And it leads the pack with 11 Oscar nominations, and as of this writing, is not only the current odds-on favorite to win Best Picture, but is like a heavy favorite to win Best Picture. Who would like this? Fans of original movies. This movie's fucking weird, and even though you can see some clear influences, like The Matrix, John Waters, even like Charlie Kaufman and Ozu, I found it to be an extremely unique experience and unlike anything I've ever seen before. Anyone who has a complicated relationship with their parent or their kid. I'm very fortunate that I get along great with my parents, but there's quite a bit of generational trauma in the emotional spine of the movie, and it seems an awful lot of people relate to that. People who enjoy comedy involving butt plugs. Don't ask me why. More in part 2. I've seen all the Best Picture nominees, so let's talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm going to be honest, I really loved this. The comedy stuff, immature as it is, really worked for me. The family drama stuff, saccharine as it is, really worked for me. The action stuff, cartoony as it is, really worked for me. And the sci-fi stuff, as hand-wavy as it is at times, pretty much worked for me too. So, number one, I'm very impressed by the balance of tones. Number two, I'm impressed by how cleanly the story is told, particularly the first act. There's a lot going on in this movie, and it's not the easiest to explain the setup. Lots of exposition to get through in not a whole lot of time. Not only do they have to explain some pretty complicated science fiction mechanics so you understand what's happening to Evelyn, they also have to prepare you for how weird things are going to get. Especially because like the opening 15 or 20 minutes, while extremely stressful, they don't really give you any indication of how bizarre this movie will be. So particularly in the second half of Act 1, I think they do a really impressive job on both accounts, both explaining the sci-fi mechanics and prepping you that things are going to get weird. And then I think even more impressive than that is how they land the plane. Like I said, awful lot of stuff going on in this movie, in multiple universes. And somehow they tie it all up in a nice bow. They break the universe into a bunch of pieces, and then they put it all back together in such a way that the story feels complete and immensely satisfying. It's honestly kind of miraculous how they land the plane here. I started using Letterboxd like 8 years ago, and then 2 or 3 years ago, a friend of mine bullied me into doing star ratings, which I don't really like doing, but whatever. I bring this up because I'm usually a coward, and I don't give 5 stars after only one viewing. Typically, I'll give it 4.5, and then on second viewing, I'll bump it up to 5, if appropriate. Not the case with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I walked out of the theater, pulled up the app, immediate five-bagger. The only movie I saw last year that was an immediate five-bagger. I can certainly understand why some people wouldn't respond to this, but I absolutely did. It worked on me. As you know, the Best Picture nominees, so let's talk about Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Okay, so we've established that the movie is weird as hell and there's an awful lot going on, but what is this? Waiting past the weirdness and the kind of convoluted sci-fi premise, what's really going on here? I mentioned in the first TikTok that generational trauma forms the emotional spine of the movie. The main relationship in the movie is Evelyn and her daughter Joy. Evelyn is wildly closed off emotionally, seems to only be able to communicate via criticism, and is disapproving of seemingly everything about Joy, including and especially the fact that she has a girlfriend. And we eventually get some context for how Evelyn got this way, as she similarly suffered a disapproving, emotionally closed off parent. Evelyn is repeating the sins of the father with her behavior towards Joy. She's perpetuating this generational cycle. Within the sci-fi premise, there is a big bad threatening the stability of the multiverses with the power to destroy the whole universe. And yeah, I guess the big bad is functionally the antagonist as far as the sci-fi premise goes, but really, waiting past all that, ultimately the philosophical antagonist here is nihilism. And that's what the big bad is all about. Nihilism. Joy is fed up with her mom and her family. She's been dealing with Evelyn's bullshit her whole life, and she's on the cusp of giving up on her, of giving up on her family, of giving up on feeling anything. And she's ready to embrace oblivion and embrace the pointlessness and the nothingness of existence because she feels so alone. So the crux of the movie is Evelyn realizing this, realizing what she's doing to her daughter, realizing what's about to happen to her daughter, and bringing her back from the brink of oblivion. The movie's ultimate thesis is that when you're ready to give up, your family and the people who love you can pull you back from the ledge. Nihilism is tempting in a bleak world, but caring is how you win. I know that the power of love is not a novel concept in storytelling, but to bury it so deeply inside a supremely weird movie, that message hit me like a ton of bricks, and it hit me hard, and it deeply moved me. As you know, the Best Picture nominees, so let's talk about Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Quite a few notable performances in this, so I just want to shout them out. First and foremost, obviously, Ke Huy Quan. He's not only been the story of this award season, but he's one of the great award season stories in the 15 plus years that I've been paying attention to this kind of stuff. As a child actor, he played Short Round in The Temple of Doom and Data in The Goonies, and didn't get much work after that. With the exception of being 6 billed in a Netflix Goonies remake that no one saw, this is his first acting role in 20 years. He's a complete lock to win Best Supporting Actor, and he's just been killing it in the acceptance speech department in the last couple of months. His Golden Globe speech was super moving, both shouting out Steven Spielberg for giving him his first job, and the Daniels for, as he put it, remembering him. And I loved him in the movie. He's effectively playing 2 roles. A hapless but cheerful husband, and also like a badass secret agent type. Plus, he has to do a lot of the heavy lifting exposition-wise in Act 1, and he keeps it from ever feeling too clunky. Michelle Yeoh's been at this for 40 years, starting out with Hong Kong action movies in the 80s, and then getting international acclaim for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She's hung around ever since then, but she hasn't really been in anything super huge, and not in anything that I've seen personally. But then 5 years ago, she had a big role in Crazy Rich Asians, which made a ton of money, and it seemed like everyone was like, oh yeah, Michelle Yeoh, she's great. And now she might win Best Actress? Jamie Lee Curtis has been at this for 45 years, and despite being in some really big and really acclaimed movies in that span, this is her first Oscar nomination, so that's cool. James Hong will always have a special place in my heart because he was in Chinatown, Blade Runner, and Wayne's World 2. And after his speech at the SAG Awards, I think he'll have a special place in a lot of people's hearts. I still can't get over the fact that the first movie he was ever in starred Clark Gable. What a complete legend. Honestly, Stephanie Hsu might be my favorite performance in this movie. I'm thrilled she got nominated for an Oscar because honestly that was definitely not a given. And I'm thrilled she won an Independent Spirit Award for this, which some people refer to as the Oscars consolation prize. Lastly, Detective Crashmore from I Think You Should Leave shows up in this.
I've seen every cock on the planet. I've seen everyone naked.
And they had to pay him $2 million, even if he did a bad job.